Good afternoon from Aeroparque in Buenos Aires. I'm hoping this video will be my second full review of the IFly Boeing 737 MAX. I mentioned during my first review that what IFly has managed to do with the 737 excuse me, is to provide a very visually rich aircraft. Even just looking once again at the interior here, you can see the cabin details. Many of you are aware that you can open the doors from the inside, operate the window shades. So yeah, very good features, a very rich cockpit, and my two favorite flight decks have to be the 787 and the 737 MAX, the larger displays. Everything is modeled extremely well. My feedback from the first review was that autoflight has some room for improvement, especially the way RNAV, VNAV operate. There's some cases of missing turns or not the most accurate descent profiles, especially on approaches like ILS approaches. Doesn't feel as stable, and throughout the video I'm going to compare it to my experience with PMDG now for 21 years with their 737 products, where PMDG has the 737 systems almost perfect, even with the most recent well, even more with the most recent 737 update that they pushed for flights in 2020. To be clear, IFly is only on version 1.0 of the MAX, and I'm sure they're getting a lot of feedback from many people, especially some of their beta testers and real-world pilots, as to what needs to improve on that system side. One of the issues that I did figure out on my own was during my early flights. I'm going to show you an example with the throttles. During my early flights, I noticed I was getting a lot of this with my throttles and a lot of random autopilot disconnection, and I thought it had to do something with IFly itself. However, what IFly has is actually a pretty good feature for those of you who are interested, where you can basically go to the systems page, go to the panel style page, go to the autopilot page, go to page 2, and then you can inhibit. By inhibiting, your hardware is never gonna cause the autopilot to disconnect or affect the autopilot in any way. This is something I never worried about in PMDG. In PMDG, the autopilot was always doing its own thing, and my hardware never interfered. If I were to guess why this happens with IFly, I think IFly might have a more sensitive system that is more prone to inputs from the hardware, but whatever it was, I was able to inhibit with the settings. So once I make this setting, I don't have to worry about my hardware interfering with the flight, with autoflight again. So that was one problem that I solved, and I was actually very happy to solve. I didn't want to be dwelling on that. But like I said, what I want to do today is just monitor the aircraft more on the system side. We're going to be flying to Ushuaia, which is in the southern tip of Argentina, a very popular tourist destination, I think both summer and winter, and today is Christmas Day. So there's going to be a lot of traffic heading towards the mountains and to the south of Argentina, as many Argentines begin their summer vacation, which is Christmas vacation, of course. So we're going to continue with this pre-flight for Ushuaia, so I'm going to go ahead and request it from SimBrief. I noticed that during climb out there is really no systems issues to worry about. Another piece of feedback or observation that I had was this aircraft during takeoff, during departure, it handles very well manually. Like you almost want to fly it manually all the way to cruise. It's really friendly. It compares a lot to the way the PMDG handles on manual flights. So that's very pleasant. So again, my aim today is to really monitor the autoflight, and I'm going to have a big focus on that approach phase. I think I'm going to probably execute an RNP into Ushuaia, because RNP approaches interest me more than ILS approach. And I mentioned that the ILS with the IFly is still not the most stable ILS that I want. We'll see also what ATC assigns us. I do have Beyond ATC connected, so I'd be interested to see what they assign us there. I'll make a final decision regardless whether we make an RMP or an ILS. And again, if I have good visual conditions, I also want to fly the aircraft by hand, while at the same time stressing that I do want to continue to monitor some of the autoflight behaviors here. So, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and load our flight plan. I'll get my ILS report for Aeroparque.
1016, landing and departing runway 13. Transition level 030. 5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact, you have information X-ray. Jorge Newbery Aeroparque Airport information X-ray 1847.
Our flight today is Argentina 1888. Another significant piece of feedback that I have is that IFly in its future updates should consider more the SimBrief integration. I'm pulling my data from SimBrief. So for example, when I integrate SimBrief with PMDG, my flight number is already published once I download the flight plan. I have to do it manually here. But once I do it manually, my flight number will appear here, and it will appear here. So Argentina 1888. IFly also opted for the original brick, or the EFB that Boeing had. I think Boeing first had this tablet with the 777-300ER. It's a very old system, but again, I think we can still get a lot of realism by integrating more of SimBrief into it, and also perhaps offering different tablet options in the future. One of the reasons PMDG went with its own tablet is because, again, this version of the tablet is very outdated. This version dates to 2003, so it's already 20 years old. And most airlines have pretty much dropped it from what I understand. So let me go ahead and load the aircraft. Another thing, I'm talking about integration. I'm not able to integrate any of the SimBrief data to include the weights and balances, so I gotta do it on my own. So let me go ahead and freeze my camera, and we'll focus on entering the data here. Okay, so the SimBrief output, 169 passengers today. Our cargo is gonna be, let me look at my tablet here, it's gonna be 3367. So maybe we can put 1500 in the front, and then doing some math in my head, and we'll put 1867 in the back, and hit set payload, and then we'll do our fuel. We're going to be loading a total of 11,236 kilos. I'm going to put 240 here, just going to round it up a bit. Our taxi out average is usually 191, and our planned trip is going to be 7575. I'm going to hit set fuel. And when I hit complete, I should have my weights properly entered. So let me go ahead and unfreeze the camera here and verify here. Yep, I have 11.2 kilos for this flight. This flight's typically 3 hours. I've taken it in the real world before, back when Argentina had MD-80s. And we're also going to go ahead and copy our FMC data here. We have a dry runway today, and it's going to be runway 13. I noticed that the tablet here does not have optimum takeoff settings, so you have to actually enter your flap value. And it doesn't not like my parameters here, so let's see what I need to do. More flaps maybe? If it doesn't like this, I'm gonna go ahead and just use the FMC. Aeroparque has a 7. I'm trying to remember the runway length. It's not necessarily a very long runway, but I should be able to take off with flaps 5. It's just a 737 MAX, so it's not fully loaded for a 3-hour flight. So let me see what else I could do to. I'm gonna double check on the FMC to see if it gives me a better idea of what I need for takeoff. Okay, so let me go back. All right, so let me go ahead and hide the menu here. Aircraft oriented, center aircraft. And now I can hide the menu. It's a small airport, so it's gonna be easy to navigate over to runway 13. Okay, let's continue our pre-flight here. Again, I said I wasn't too worried about this. We got runway 13 today, Aeroparque. So, let me do a clearance request just to double check.
Argentina 1888, request IFR clearance to Ushuaia, Malvinas Airport.
Argentina 1888, Aeroparque delivery. Expect runway 13, El Palomar 9er departure, squawk 3361.
El Palomar 9er departure, squawk 3361, Argentina 1888.
Argentina 1888, read back correct. Contact ground 121.9er when ready for pushback or engine start.
Ground 121.9er, when ready for pushback or engine start, Argentina 1888.
I'm also gonna update my voice for my co-pilot because my last flight was on a 737 NG for PMDG and I was using the FS2 crew, so that's Stephanie's voice, but Stephanie's voice on Beyond ETC is a premium voice, so I don't want to waste characters, so I'm going to go ahead and put one of the generic male voices for my autopilot. Okay, so we got El Palomar 9, El Palomar 9 departure out of Aeroparque. Given the wind pattern in Ushuaia, we should be landing on runway 25, but as we get closer to this destination, I'll confirm that and the kind of approach we are going to make. Okay, so back to our initial references here. Let me go ahead and get some route data. Okay, let's go ahead and load the data here. Get our forecast as well. I'm also looking forward, I just mentioned about a minute ago, I mentioned that I was using Stephanie's voice from Beyond ETC. I mean from FS2 crew. I'm looking forward to FS2 crew giving me the same function on the Max. They are working on the IFly 737 Max. Should have the same characters, male, female, and it just makes the integration with Beyond ETC and having the first officer doing their respective flows. It just makes it a lot more realistic. So I'm going to be doing all the flows today. And as always, since I've been doing a lot of single pilot operations on the 777 on PMDG, but on the 737 I've been very spoiled by having a first officer. I might miss a few things, so just bear with me. I'll remember them. And if a light comes on, a warning comes on, it's because I forgot one of them. So I'll just go ahead and quickly fix it so we don't have any issues. Okay. I was looking at the fuel data. I'm doing my, again, I'm doing some math in my head here. My reserve should be 3.7. I'm sorry, 3.4. And again, if I use what I have right now for takeoff, now this is actually, these are very good speeds. I don't understand why the computer does not want me to take off. That's odd, but okay. I'm gonna skip the performance data from the tablet. I'm gonna go from the EFB. I'm gonna enter what I got from the FMC.
Argentina,
And we'll continue.
Aeroparque ground, pushback approved. Face northwest. Pushback approved, face northwest. Argentina 1858.
So we're gonna initially go to 360 for our cruise. Okay. Got my APU on the buses, so we should be ready for pushback here. Let me go ahead and get all our signs on. And we're gonna need every fuel pump for this flight. We'll get our beacon going. And with iFly, I need to disconnect everything on my own. So I need to go to the systems page,
Argentina
go to the
1858,
ground
request
support,
taxi.
and make sure, okay, everything's already
Argentina
disconnected.
1858.
Okay, good.
Runway 13 taxi via Lima, Echo, Alpha. Runway 13 taxi via Lima, Echo, Alpha. Argentina 1858.
Argentina 1888, ramp 31, request pushback and engine start.
Argentina 1888. Aeroparque ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face southeast.
Pushback and engine start approved, face southeast, Argentina 1888.
Okay, our start sequence is going to be 2, then 1. If anybody's still new to the Max, one startup difference compared to the NG is that I already turned my fuel lever on for engine 2, but nothing's going to happen. We're gonna have this motoring warning until the N2 is ready to start the engine. Normally on the NG, we wait to get an N2 close to 25 and we flip the switch on. So and then the engine starts. Here, I can flip my switch on early, but again, nothing's going to happen until this motoring indicator goes away. And there we go, engine start.
Argentina 1858, contact Aeroparque Tower 118. Decimal 85, have a good day. Over to Tower 118, decimal 85, Argentina 1858.
Please set parking brakes.
Brake set. Starting number 1. And when I was talking about visuals, you can also see how nice the external model is as well. So again, my verdict for visuals with IFly, they got all the visuals down. There is no doubt about it. They also have a very nice engine sound too. Okay, so this should stabilize here very soon. Starter cutoff, number 1 stable. Flaps 5. Flight controls fully forward, fully back, fully right, fully left, rudder fully right, fully left. Okay, flight control check complete, and my apologies there, I had my brake off, I didn't realize it went off. One of the things you're going to notice about the Max, if you haven't gotten it yet and you are flying it for the first time, the Max, or in other words, IFly does a very good job recreating how the Max can taxi on idle thrust. It's a pretty nice feature. So that's why you saw my nose turn a little bit to the right when I was doing my controls checks. We'll do a recall here. Auto brake RTO. Engine start switch is continuous. Levers idle detent. Before taxi checklist complete. I'm going to turn the weather radar on, but IFly has not opted to link up with the SOGO weather like PMDG recently did with the 777 and 737, so there's going to be no weather display. There is terrain display, and the terrain display is going to show up very nicely when you turn on the VSD, and the VSD can be displayed directly below your navigation display. So here's my VSD here, and you can also put it on the large display. I mentioned this in my first video, and I've heard a lot of pilots mention this. If you're the pilot flying, you have to have your ND and ICAS side by side. So this very nice big user-friendly or ergonomically friendly ND is only for the pilot not flying, but it is a very nice large display for sure. So let's request taxi to the runway.
Argentina 1888 ready to taxi to the active.
Argentina 1888, runway 13 taxi via Lima, Echo, Alpha.
Runway 13 taxi via Lima, Echo Alpha, Argentina 1888.
So here's my plane on idle taxi. I haven't pushed anything forward. And I still need to confirm my V speeds, I think. Let me double check that. Yeah, I forgot to click on each V speed. So okay, now they're in the display. Okay, all set to go then. Before takeoff checklist, flaps 5 green light, trim 5.65 units. Before takeoff checklist complete.
Argentina 1888. Cross runway 13 at Alpha. Continue taxi via Foxtrot Alpha.
Cross runway 13 at Alpha. Continue taxi via Foxtrot Alpha, Argentina 1888.
As many of you are aware, airlines that have the 737NG and the 737 MAX allow their pilots to seamlessly change between them each day or whenever they have to switch equipment. And from somebody who a couple of months ago was very new to the MAX, everything is very intuitive as to where everything is. The cockpit, like I said, is just more enhanced than the NG cockpit. So again, it's got a very user-friendly display system, a lot more situational awareness. The landing gear lever no longer requires you to turn the landing gear off, so there's no hydraulics involved there in that respect.
Argentina 1888. Contact Aeroparque Tower 118.85.
Contact Tower 118.85, Argentina 1888. Argentina 1888, holding short, runway 13.
Argentina 1888, Aeroparque Tower, wind 200 at 7, fly heading 260, runway 13, cleared for takeoff.
Fly heading 260, runway 13, cleared for takeoff, Argentina 1888.
Okay, clear on the approach.
Approaching 13.
RAS is also integrated into the IFly 737, so you don't have to buy a separate RAS program. I already had a RAS program from FS2 Crew for my other aircraft. But again, if you just want to fly the MAX, let's say, and you are just happy with IFly, it's going to come with the program.
Approaching 13. On runway 13.
Okay, one last check, and we'll get going. knots. V1, rotate. V1. Positive climb, gear up. .400 feet.
Argentina 1888. Contact Aeroparque departure 120.6.
Contact Aeroparque, departure 120.6, Argentina 1888. Aeroparque, Argentina 1888, good day 1,400 feet.
Argentina 1888, Aeroparque departure identified. Climb to flight level 180.
Climb to flight level 180, Argentina 1888.
Argentina 1888, cleared direct Ezeiza. Resume on navigation.
Cleared, direct Ezeiza. Resume own navigation, Argentina 1888.
So based on that ATC clearance, I think we're gonna skip a few legs. I don't have to go to Palomar. I can go straight to Ezeiza. So I'm gonna go ahead and program that in. Standard altimeter set. I mentioned manual flight is very smooth here on the airplane. I was gonna stay on manual flight, but I might just turn the autopilot on and we can just, excuse me, set our direct course to Ezeiza. So I'm going to go ahead and put Ezeiza, execute it, and Command A. Flaps 1. Flaps up. After takeoff checklist, start switches off, landing gear up, flaps up. So this direct routing to Ezeiza saved us a very slow right turn, overflying most of Buenos Aires, western Buenos Aires, and then having to head back east to Ezeiza. So now we're just going to go direct to Ezeiza and continue our course over to Ushuaia. Ushuaia is 1,293 nautical miles away from this point. So it's going to be pretty much 3 hours, 5 minutes from where we are right now. My observation of autoflight during climb has been pretty normal. I haven't seen any inconsistencies. I mentioned some of the autoflight drawbacks right now are sometimes LNAV not capturing each turn or LNAV somehow disconnecting from the autopilot. It's very random. I cannot pinpoint as to why it happens, but other users noted similar issues. So again, keep that in mind. This is version 1.0. If IFly takes a lot of the user feedback, especially the feedback from the real-world pilots, into account, I'm optimistic that LNAV and VNAV, and again some of the ILS type configurations, will get more attention and improvements. If there's one thing I want to see more in our hobby is competition. So even though I'm a loyal PMDG customer, if I see something better, I'll be happy to go with it. But right now, based on what I have so far, when it comes to flying the airplane, I prefer PMDG over IFly. But again, I'm rooting for competitors to bring the competition up to a higher notch, and that would just motivate developers to keep on improving their aircraft. It's just something that comes naturally with competition. And then it will also be very interesting to see what happens with FS 2024. PMDG has had some very good posts, even a video, on how FS 2024 was not one of those things that they had hoped for on a Sobo and Microsoft, that you would just drag your add-on over from 2020 to 2024 and have a seamless functionality. That was far from accurate.
124.5 Argentina 1888. Have a good day.
There's going to be a lot of rework required
Argentina
to get some of these aircraft into the
through flight level 156 for flight level 180.
And
direct is
today's Christmas Day 2024. We are still waiting to hear from IFly as to what they have to do to get their 737 MAX ready for 2024 for FS 2024.
Climb to flight level 360.
Climb to flight level 360 Argentina 1888.
Okay, so here I'm going to make a pause, and during descent I will resume this recording, and by then we should know what kind of vectoring and approach we're going to get for runway 25 in Ushuaia. So we'll see you then. Okay, just about to pass 180 on our way down to Ushuaia. Air traffic control bids confirmed. We will be using runway 25, and I've gone ahead and programmed the RNAV Zulu. So I just want to see some of the RNP behavior for the aircraft. And currently 66 nautical miles away from the airfield. There is some terrain in the area, so this part of the VSI should start showing some peaks during our final approach phase. And I can also turn the terrain radar on if I choose to do that. And so far I've gotten a very good rate of descent during the VNAV operation here on our way down. Haven't seen any problems with LNAV missing targets or any erratic behavior on the VNAV so far, so that's good. And given that it's December 25th on the southern hemisphere, in the tip of Argentina, the tip of South America, it's 7:30 local time, 7:30 p.m. local time, 19:30 local time. So you can see the sun is still very high. So the sun's not going to set until about 10:30, 11. And here are some of the terrain returns for the area. So I've been here a couple of times as a passenger. It's a very nice part of Argentina. Lots of mountains, good for hiking, skiing in the winter. And the blue return is the big old channel that divides Argentina and Chile.
Contact Ushuaia, approach 118.1.
Contact Ushuaia, approach 118.1, Argentina 1888. Ushuaia, Argentina 1888, flight level 146 with information Papa.
Argentina 1888, Ushuaia approach, QNH 0999, expect the ILS 3 runway 3 with the Mibok transition.
QNH 0999, expect the ILS 3 runway 3 with the Mibok transition, Argentina 1888.
Okay, we got a new runway assignment. We are going to... Oh no, I see what it is. We're actually going to continue to land on runway 25. I'm going to double check my clips here, but as far as I know, runway 3 is not...
Argentina 1888, descend to flight level 100.
Descend to flight level 100, Argentina 1888.
I was saying, as far as I know, runway 3, I don't think it's used by the aircraft my size or higher or bigger. I'm gonna double check that on the charts. Let's look at Ushuaia real quick. It's a little slow to load. I'm gonna look at it on my web browser for a few seconds here just to double check. But as far as I know, runway 3 is not used by large airliners or medium to large airliners. I know that the biggest aircraft that used to come here was the 747-200 when Argentina still was using it, and now it's the A330. Yeah, and as far as...
Argentina 1888, descend to 8,000 feet, QNH 0999.
Descend to 8,000 feet, QNH 0999, Argentina 1888.
I was saying, the airport has runway 7 and runway 25. It might have a smaller runway, but this whole thing about being assigned runway 3, it doesn't exist. So it could be an error. So I'm going to continue my assignment into runway 25. And when I say assignment, I mean the sim brief assignment to runway 25. So I'm not going to worry too much about
Argentina 1888,
the guidance.
7,000 feet.
Descend to 7,000 feet, Argentina 1888.
And I'm going to slow down a bit because, okay, notice, so I had a VNAV with speed intervention of 250 and the speed ran away from me. So I think this is a little bit of the VNAV behavior that I'm talking about that needs to improve a little bit. So I have my spoilers out. I'm hoping to slow down. So we need to be at 220 right now. So we'll see if it slows down.
1888, descend to 6,500 feet.
Descend to 6,500 feet, Argentina 1888.
Argentina 1888, cleared direct Mibok, cross Mibok at or above 6,500 feet, cleared ILS 3 runway 3.
Cleared direct Mibok, cross Mibok at or above 6,500 feet, cleared ILS 3 runway 3, Argentina 1888.
See that ILS-3 runway 3 doesn't make any sense for Ushuaia. That's why I was second guessing myself, trying to wonder if there was a runway 3. There's an adjacent military airfield, but I'm not sure why ATC is saying that. It's either runway 7 or runway 25, and most of the year it's runway 25 that the traffic here uses. I'm gonna slow down with the landing gear. And here's the VSD peaks. So that's actually a pretty nice feature that both the 787 and 737 MAX have. And we have the conditions for a visual landing as well if I want to disconnect the autopilot. But as I mentioned earlier, I want to monitor some of the automation, the autoflight characteristics. So I want to keep looking at those before I do more manual flight during approach. So let's see how we do here. I'm also going to be looking at my flap lever and indicator here because my hardware is more aligned with the 737 on PMDG, but not for this one. So if, for example, if I set 2 here, it could be 5 on the IFly Max. And let me see if it captures this descent here. Okay, yeah, we're doing good. So let's go flaps 15, even if it's early. I'm gonna slow down enough. 184. I'm gonna go ahead and should be able to close the spoiler now. Leave it armed. I was looking to see if this comes with a window shade, but I don't think it does. It only has the side shades that you can open and close. But I don't know if there's a window shade to hang here. I have to check the manual.
2500.
Here's what I was saying about the scenery around Ushuaia. It's really nice. This is the southern tip of South America, the southern tip of the Andes Mountains. Again, it's very scenic if you want to go skiing, hiking, take some boats to the nearby islands. I took my kids to Isla del Martillo, which is full of penguins. It's a penguin colony. So there's a lot of nice tourism here in this part of the world. And also you can embark on some of the cruises to Antarctica if that's on your bucket list. And let me set my VREF. I don't think I ever set my VREF. So it's gonna be, we're gonna be at 149. Okay, 149. I told you I was very used to using my first officer, and right now I'm doing all the flying on my own. So it's a little different. And let's go to 149 here.
Argentina 1888. Contact Ushuaia Tower
Flaps
123.85
and flaps 30.
Contact Tower 123.85, Argentina 1888. Ushuaia Tower, Argentina 1888, ILS 3, runway 3.
Argentina 1888, Ushuaia Tower, wind 310 at 10. Runway 25 cleared to land.
Runway 25 cleared to land, Argentina 1888.
See, now I got runway 25. So yeah, something was off during that indication from the approach. So okay, here I'm gonna monitor my auto throttle as well as my VNAV using this RNP approach. Let's see how well it follows it. My minimums for this RNP are, let's see, 315. And just to go over the landing checklist, we had continuous switches. Speed brake is armed, gear down, and flaps is 30 green light. So the landing checklist is complete. Okay, runway in sight. And I think I have 3 white, 1 red on the pappies. Seems like I'm a little bit high right now, but again, I want to monitor this as much as possible on the way down. If it stays like this, I'm going to just disconnect and take it in manually.
Approaching 2,
okay,
5.
I'm going to disconnect. Auto throttle off.
$500. 400. Approaching minimums. Minimums. 300. 200. 150. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, speed brake up. Reverse normal. Manual braking. I'm going to go ahead and roll to the end of the airfield here, so I don't want to use too much brake or too much reverse if not needed. And we might be dealing with a full house. Let's see if there's any additional parking.
Argentina 1888, exit next available taxiway.
Okay, to clean up.
Exit next available taxiway, Argentina 1888.
Okay, we got some brake temperature data, which is a nice touch of realism for the aircraft. We got the AP on the buses, and let me see what we have available as far as parking is concerned. I suppose we're gonna do just some, excuse me, some stair deboarding. And actually, again, Ushuaia is a very touristy destination. So for the airport to be this full this time of year is probably very normal. I'm sure one of these Argentina 737s is going to be off to its destination very soon, but I'm going to go ahead and park anyways. And we'll do lights and doors. So let's pretend we're not clipping the other 737. It's going to park here on ramp number 4. This whole taxi right now has been on idle thrust. I don't know if it's normal for it to be going this fast on idle, so I'm using my brakes to control the movement as much as I can. Okay, we'll just stop here, set the parking brake. Let's see, parking brake, set. Cut off.
Passengers bus is coming.
And I think I need to set my ground equipment. Okay, the door's opening by itself. Let me see if my ground equipment automatically sets. I always forget. Systems, ground support. Yeah, I need to put my chocks on. Get some ground power connected. And I can release my brake. Okay. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying at the very beginning of the video, one of the things that IFly has room for improvement is really on the autoflight. And I think the pattern that I'm seeing after various flights now, whether it's ILS, whether it's RNAV, the approaches are not very precise right now. During this flight, my LNAV behaved perfectly fine. My VNAV got a little bit steep and no, not steep, but it got very fast, uncommanded. I had set a certain speed. I think I had set 250 on the speed intervention during VNAV, but it went to 280. So if they can make some of those tweaks during autoflight, I think we're going to be in very good shape as far as having a very strong 737 competitor to the PMDG series. And also, if you want to go into the depth of study level that folks like PMDG have, that'll be even better for IFly or for anybody else who offers up a competitor to the more established developers. Visually, there are no issues with the aircraft. The aircraft looks very good outside, inside, cockpit, the displays, and the sounds. The engine sounds inside and out are also really good. If some of you were watching the interview with PMDG with Robert last week, I believe, he mentioned that he's getting a sound improvement coming up with the next upgrade to the 737. But IFly already had a pretty good sound system here to begin with. So again, once IFly can tweak some of these autoflight features, just to make them a little more realistic, I think they're going to have a pretty good product. I'm sticking with PMDG for now, but I'm also encouraging IFly, and I'm sure some of the other folks who have beta tested and who have tested after release, even the pre-release, have given IFly plenty of feedback on what needs to be improved with the airplane. But at the end of the day, it's nice to have a MAX available on Flight Sim. It's nice to see a little bit of competition with the same aircraft series, with the 737 series, whether it's a PMDG 737NG or now an IFly 737 MAX. And for those of you who are following PMDG, they will not be able to do anything with their MAX until they finish a project that they're doing at the enterprise level with Boeing. So we'll see what they have to offer up whenever that's ready. And then we are all awaiting PMDG and IFly to get their products up to 2024. So when I say that, Flight Sim 2024 standards. So those have not been released yet, and it's still in the works, and I'm waiting for an official announcement from IFly as to when they expect their MAX to be ready for FS 2024, and what are we going to be seeing after version 1. So we'll see. Stay tuned, and as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.